this tank is in a little bit of a honeymoon period. And what I mean by a honeymoon period is this tank is well and truly due for a water change, but the gravel is still actually very clean. With the amount of fish in this tank, I would expect after sort of 4 to 6 weeks that the gravel would be actually quite dirty, but the gravel is actually very clean. And once again, if you feed very good quality foods and you don't overfeed them, then what happens is the fish will use all the nutrients because the nutrients are evenly absorbed by the fish. Therefore, they don't poo much. Now, if you use good quality foods and you overfeed them, then you might actually think the food's dirty. But if you don't overfeed the food and the food is evenly absorbed by the fish, then you'll actually find that your tank is much cleaner. You'll find your filter stays much cleaner, which in this case, the filter was actually very clean, considering how long since I've been here. And the gravel was actually very clean. Now, once again, this tank has good water quality and very good food. So there's no reason why the honeymoon period won't last for a very long time. But just be aware that over time you do build up crap through the back of the reef, and then that can start what's called old tank syndrome. And old tank syndrome is where you start to form a lot of sediment in the back. The oxygen can't get in the back into the fine sediment, and then you can start discharging hydrogen sulfide and have other issues which are just related to a tank being old. And that's well down the track. So this tank is still relatively new. The decorations are very clean because obviously the lights are not on too much. All the fish are healthy, but be aware that this tank is at capacity. I would not add more fish to this tank. I would only add like a prize fish if you wanted something like a red-tailed black shark or a particular individual. But this tank is pretty full because we need to give these fish time to grow, because some of these fish grow up to sort of 25, 30 centimeters. So they need room. Now the honeymoon period too also refers to your interest in the tank. So at the moment, because this tank's relatively new, you find that you look at it all the time. But when the honeymoon is over and you've had the tank for years, then after a while you've sort of seen it. So one of the best things to do is just change decorations, change fish, and change things around, and then you will pursue your honeymoon period. So I guess just like marriage, when you get started, it's all new and fresh and different, and you can't stop looking at it. But then over time, you have seen it, and sometimes it's time for change. So obviously changing your fish tank is a much better idea than changing your wife, but you know, you do what you need to do. What a beautiful tank. Now, a bit of a pro tip. It's very easy to get distracted. There's all sorts of things around that can distract you. And if you do get distracted by something and you forget you're filling the fish tank up, it's never that good. So rule number 1, when you're filling up a fish tank, never leave, just stay with the fish tank. Be careful with phone calls, because phone calls are also a big distraction, because it's so easy to forget your taps on, and nobody is impressed having a flooded house. So if you just keep your eye on the job, fill your tank up, turn off your hose, and get on with your life. This is particularly an issue if you're going to start servicing your aquarium drunk. I've had various customers come in saying that they've caused all sorts of trouble to their tank because one Sunday evening or whatever, they're having a few drinks. Then next thing you know, they've either fell asleep on the lounge while they're filling their tank up, or they've forgotten to turn their pump back on. I've heard all sorts of funny stories. So just be aware that servicing your aquarium drunk, it's pretty fun. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you to be careful, because drunk decisions are often the most fun, but not always the best. Be safe, people. What I'll do now is clean the filter wall in there and clean the filter wall down there. Okay, so now I'm going to do the gravel clean. So what I'm going to do is dig this in the gravel, then pinch it, and see how dirty the gravel is. Now at this stage, the gravel seems ridiculously clean. Now I will say that fish keeping is 50% water quality and 50% food quality. And when you've got food as good as this, you find your tank stays very clean. So now that I'm refilling the aquarium, what I'll do is every 5 centimeters, I'll add a full dose of safe to take anything I don't want out of the water. I also am going to dose it with some lake salt because the GH and salinity is a little bit low. Let's just keep an eye on this guy a little bit. He's just a little tad on the skinny side. So if we could just put a little bit more of this in, particularly at night time, just let him scavenge. If you're ever going to use wafers, I really think this one's the best because this one's actually water stable. So it takes 24 hours before it starts to break down. So a few more of them. And if they go in the evening when the other fish go to sleep, just try and get a little bit more food to that fellow. Just like him a little bit fatter. Most of the fish look great. Now, because these owners go away a lot, there's 2 things I'm going to do today. One is I'm going to add some poly filters to the filter. This is not just filterable. This will absorb anything impure out of the water. Over a period of time, it'll turn from white to black. Once it's black, that's finished, so you can throw it out and consider getting another one. But basically, this will remove all your accumulants, remove all the stuff that we don't know. And if you're away and you lose a fish or something goes wrong, then this will help to absorb a lot of the nutrients instead of potentially killing the fish. So if you're going away on holidays, I would absolutely and totally recommend you have some fresh poly filter on hand. Now, the other thing I'm going to do too is because someone is going to be looking after the house who is not a fish person, I'm going to put a couple of alerts on the tank. That way we can tell the people looking after the tank, hey look, if you notice the color in the middle change, that means the pH has dropped. Because in this case, I want the pH to be pretty red. So the dot in the middle should be red. Now, if something goes wrong, generally the first thing that will happen is the pH will start dropping. So therefore, if we notice this go yellow, then that's an alert and that's something to let us know. And then the ammonia is 1st degree fish waste. So the little dot in the center should be yellow. And then if it starts going a color, that's bad. So you can tell the people looking after your tank, hey look, just when you come to feed the fish, just check on these. And if this one's red, that's good. And if this one's yellow, that's good. And if that's not the case, ring your fish guy straight away. Because if something's going wrong, let's say a filter's not working and the person doesn't notice, or a fish dies in the back of the tank, or something goes wrong, then ammonia and pH are 2 of the main things that will quickly change. Beautiful little marble peacock. So I recommend everyone have these alerts on their tanks, and definitely for situations like this where you're away a lot. A little bit of security is sometimes the best insurance, especially for a tank like this. Because if you add up all these fish, there's a bit of money's worth of fish in here. So just taking a little bit of preparation to protect your investment is a highly advisable idea. So when you buy these, the ammonia one, you just peel off the plastic and it's got a little sticker there. And then this one, it comes with a sticker and we put the sticker on. And just be aware that they last for about 1 year. So after 1 year, it's a good idea to replace the little dots. You don't really have to buy this again, but most people do, because after a while your suction cap stuffs up and it starts looking dirty anyway. So if you don't want to buy another one of those, you can pre-order these little dots just to put on there. But if it was up to me, I'd just buy another one, make it all look nice and neat. Okay, so though I have attempted to try to catch the fish out of here, if we do get an opportunity to catch these fish out, that would be safer, just because of the very remote chance that it ends up getting stuck in the pump. And obviously we wouldn't want the fish getting stuck in the pump, because that wouldn't be good for the fish, and it also might stop the pump. So any opportunity we get to catch him out would be good. Probably the best way to do that would be just have a net sitting there in there all the time. Actually, I might get a net and see if I can stop the fish from getting into the pump with the net. Could be possible. If not, if there is an opportunity to catch it out, and leaving a net sitting in there, so therefore if you do get an opportunity, that would be good to minimize the very low risk that you have a problem. Now when you're filling up these aquariums, it's not here you're watching, it's actually down there you're watching. So basically, once you fill it up, the water will start overflowing from this and it will start going down the bottom. And at that point, I let this rise up, then I'll go and turn the hose off. Then when the sump's relatively full, I'll then turn the pump back on. Once I turn the pump on, what will happen is the water in the sump will go down and the water in the tank will go up. Then over time, this tank will evaporate, and it's important just to refill the sump again to the on level. The tip about going away on holidays is if you are going to use auto feeders, these Eheim ones are excellent. JBL makes some good ones as well. But the food that I want you to put in the auto feeder is this one, and even this particular size, because this granule seems to work well in these. And I specifically want you to use the probiotic when you're away on holidays, because it is the cleanest food you can get, and the fish thrive with the smallest amount. To be aware of is what's called dirty weight of the filter media. So as mechanical medias, I would say polyfilter is the best, and I would say this one by JBL is the second best. So when you get a dirty filter and you actually bring the water out and weigh it, you can actually find out how much waste the filter has actually trapped. And this particular one traps absolutely massive amounts. And compared to normal air conditioning filter wool or some of the other filter wools, it actually can be quite amazing that some filter wools remove huge amounts more particles, particularly without clogging up, than others. So it's definitely something to experiment with. But once again, polyfilter is my favorite, and then the JBL is my second favorite.